Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to this new edition of charcoal drawing demonstration. In this episode, I will be demonstrating live a charcoal sketch in a hyper-realistic style. So without further delays, let's jump in so you can follow through the process. Here comes the first step. This consists of laying down the sketch. This stage doesn't require any precision. You just need to be loose and follow the guide on your reference picture. Try as much as possible to place the lines accurately, more or less, but you don't have to be 100% precise. I invite you to feel relaxed, okay? Let it be fun. Always keep an eye on your reference picture. So in my case, what I always do, the formula is, I would say 60% observation, okay? 20% analyzing and 20% execution. So I do this in a very fast, in a short, I do this in a very short span of time, okay? But in the beginning, you don't need to pressure yourself to be that fast. But over time, if you practice consistently, you will find yourself being so efficient and flexible with this. I never used to be this fast, okay? Even though this video is sped up, I never used to be this fast, but with constant practice, I was able to be spontaneous and almost accurate with the lines I place. So I am keeping an eye on my reference picture. I am just laying down essential lines without any details. The spacing, the proportion of everything is not 100% nor even 90% accurate. It mustn't be, okay? It's a fun process. I am learning in the process. Accuracy comes with time. Okay. Over time, you get accuracy without so much effort because of muscle memory. All right. You're used to sketching. So if you are planning to do it freehand, it's fine. Okay. But if you can't, you can use the great method, or you could use whatever method you think is easier for you to lay down the sketch accurately. But for me, this is art. I am not photocopying everything. I'm being creative at the same time. So I give myself the permission to make mistakes, to not be 100% accurate, to not be perfect. And it will be noticed in the sketch. What makes it interesting is the fact that it's almost similar but not 100% accurate. You can see the brush strokes, or here I would say the pencil strokes, okay? So at this point, what I'm doing is basically I'm trying to separate the contrast. I'm trying to create a contrast. So I'm trying to separate the light from the shadow. Yeah. Still, you don't need to be precise with this one. Where it's dark, just put it dark, and where it's bright or light, just leave it that way. This helps you evaluate the intensity of every element or every figure, every element in the sketch. So I'm laying down. What I'm using here is charcoal powder. So I had to scratch this off from a charcoal bar, so that I have a charcoal powder with which I could easily apply using this charcoal palette knife. Yeah, and I prefer using this method because it feels like painting, rather than really drawing, because if I have to use a pencil, I won't do this fast and I'll have to be more cautious, and it's time consuming. So I'm used to painting and I just feel this method is best for me. But you could use whatever method you wish, okay? Just find the tools you prefer. I have so many tools when it comes to charcoal drawing, executing charcoal drawing. I have so many tools that I use, and I will have the opportunity to share everything I use for my charcoal drawings in another video. So let's get back to the sketch. What I'm doing here is basically separating light from shadow. So you will see some areas are very dark, some areas appear to be very bright, and some areas will be mid-tone. So understanding value is very important when it comes to black and white drawings or monochrome drawings or paintings. Separating light from dark helps you. This stage helps you evaluate everything. So afterwards, you will know where to add more darkness or more shadow, or where to add or where to subtract. You could use an eraser to subtract. As the video goes on, you will experience, you will see where I subtract instead of adding. So with charcoal drawing, it gives you the possibility you'll be doing addition and subtraction at the same time. Every element I'm placing here is what I see on my reference picture. Some shades, some shadows are very soft and subtle. You can't easily notice them unless you pay close attention. But what I would say, you don't always need to feed in every single detail, especially at this point, okay? What's most important, at this point, I can already see the effect of the glossy effect on the lips and the teeth. But unfortunately, I will have to darken the teeth. I will have to apply a light shade of gray on the teeth too, because the teeth are not white. They are never white. You see white, but when you try to paint or when you convert that image into black and white, you will notice it's a light shade of gray, or maybe how do I call it? How do they call this? Okay, you can notice here, right? I am shading everything. I'm applying a light shade of gray, as I said. This is because the teeth are not white and the skin tone, according to my reference picture, is already dark. So I try as much as possible to apply a recognizable shade of gray on the skin. And this process is done gradually. Beneath the lower tip, surprisingly, you might be surprised I'm adding a recognizable shade of gray. No, this is according to the reference picture. When I look at the reference picture, this is what I see, okay? The information, all the information is on your reference picture. You don't need to imagine or invent what doesn't exist. That's why you always have to keep an eye on your reference picture, always. So it imposes the 60% observation, 20% analyzing how to go about it. Which shade do I use? Which brush do I use? How do I apply? Do I apply harshly, or how do I go about it? This is what I mean by analyzing. And execution is just you getting what you figured out is necessary, okay? You pick the brush you think is necessary, you take the charcoal, the quantity that you think is necessary for the spot you are working on, and apply. Are you applying with so much pressure, or is it gentle pressure? This is what I mean by execution. So I do this with, this is the formula I use with my entire drawings, like especially when it comes to reproduction, okay, from live sketch or from imagination. You will always have to, if you are working from imagination, you will have to take some time to jump into your memory. Try to remember how the shape of the object you are working on, how light flashes on it from which direction, how light will affect it, and yeah, so these are the details you take into consideration if you're working with from memory. But this one, given the fact that we're working from a sketch right in front of us, let's just focus on this and I'll explain. Maybe you will have to, you could understand what I mean. So the shade, the intensity, apply it layer by layer. You can't just go directly from, how do I say it? You can't just go directly from the white background and apply everything just black. I go layer by layer because this is just a formula. Okay, I can't do the other way. You apply a light shade, you come and intensify where you think is lighter. If it needs more depth, you apply some charcoal. Alright, and I have charcoals of different grades, so I use these grades progressively, not just all at once. Like the corner of the mouth where I'm working on right now, it's normally very dark. I have the dark charcoal next to me, but I can't just use it that way because it's gonna trick my eye. Okay, it's gonna trick my eye. So I have to get as much as close as possible. I have to get as closer as possible to the result I see right here, just by adding dark shades of charcoal in a slow, progressive, and confident way. So just a reminder, this video, normally it's a video of about 1 hour 30 minutes to 50 minutes, if I don't mistake. Yeah, but I had to speed it up first so that we don't have dead moments, silent moments. Okay, and I have to cut out some silent parts. I'm telling you this, so when you are doing yours, you should not rush, especially for beginners. Do not rush. Take your time. You must not finish this painting the same day, okay? Take your time. I used to take my time too when I was learning. I'm still learning right now, but at least I have a higher level of confidence compared to when I just started out. So one of the mistakes I was making is wanting to finish my drawing, my painting, my sketch at the moment on the same day. You must not always finish. If you can finish it perfectly, that's fine. Otherwise, take your time. What is most important is not how quick you finish it, but how good you finish it, okay? Because if you rush on this, I'm talking from experience. I have my students, when they always start with me, they are always so in a hurry. I have students I teach that I have taken from the ground level to a very confident level. They cannot testify. They were always scared of portraits, okay? But I had to take them on a very slow journey, make them enjoy the process. I had to let them know first that it's not a competition. You are not competing with anyone. So take your time. You must not finish it the same day. Take even a month, but just do it well. Because One thing I've noticed is the first try is always very difficult. The second try feels less difficult. The third try feels even lesser difficult. And this is because of muscle memory, and the brain adapts and learns very fast. So if you do it over and over again, you come to realize you are very spontaneous with this, and it doesn't scare you anymore, and you'll be facing bigger challenges with more confidence. Okay, so don't pressure yourself. Don't try to be good at the beginning. Give yourself time, and I mean enough time to grow. It's very important. So here I'm using a charcoal. This is hard, so I use a charcoal pencil of different grades, which is hard, medium, and soft. So hard is not as dark as medium, and medium is not as dark as soft. Soft is the darkest of all, which you could always use to enhance or intensify your shadows, as you can see what's going on right now. I'm using hard at this point because I don't want to oversaturate it. I don't want to darken it that much without knowing the right proportion. So I always go from light to dark, because with the light shade you can easily erase. One thing I would like you to know too, with charcoal drawings most of the time it's difficult to erase, especially if you're doing smooth shading, smooth rendering. If you erase once you've applied charcoal, it's almost impossible to erase that bad and get pure white as you started from the beginning. It's always impossible to get that pure white. So if you know you need pure white on a specific area, my advice would be try as much as possible to avoid going over that spot. Okay, you can see the highlights on the leaves where I did a bright white. It's not bright, but at least it's not dark at the same time, because based on my reference picture I saw that I will need brightness over there, so I did not just go over everything at the same time. I had to take into account that I will need a bright area there. So after I've created this bright area, it will be easier for me later on to erase that spot if I need to. You will pay attention now to how the gloss effect is being prominent. It's based on the darkness and the lightness. No, it's based on the highlights, the shadows, and the midtones. Okay, so right here you will have so many midtones, a great variation of midtones, because you have the teeth that are not pure white. Okay, if they're not pure white, it means it's already a mid-tone. The lower teeth as well, you can see it's in the shade of gray, and soon enough I'll be doing the details of the gold tooth. The gold teeth here, and you will realize it's all a shade of gray. Pay attention to how I shade, especially when it comes to the gold teeth. Okay, remember this was just a flat white paper at the beginning, flat white, and from this paper I had to cast shadow, bring out form. The trick is, when you see dark, try to apply dark. When you see a mid-tone, just keep it mid-tone. It may not be 100% accurate, right, when it comes to the mid-tone, but close enough. Not 10% exaggerated or 10% and less exaggerated. So let's keep going on the shading. At this point, I am trying to refine edges, especially when it comes to the teeth and creating the gold effect. I always have my eye on my reference picture, never forget that, because you have all the information right there. And if you follow the process slowly, you will have it right, okay? It's not magic, this is mathematics. It's a whole lot of math, but you can do it too, just by observing. So now is the time for me to start to refine edges, adding more details to it. These details are what gives it the realism effect, the realistic effect. It's all light and shadow, remember. It's all light and shadow. These are all lines. To be precise again, these are all lines. Circles, soft shapes, soft gradients. Okay. If you're a beginner trying to do something like this, I would advise you to start with very simple stuff. Purchase your charcoal materials, everything you need. Start with simple objects like a ball, a glass, a cup, I don't know. Very simple things, because this one is complex. Before I got to this level, I used to work only on very soft, on very simple objects. When I understood the mechanism and I mastered the mechanism or the process, it became easier for me to handle any other subject that you can think of, like what I'm doing right now. The first try, like what I'm doing right now, the first try wasn't this easy. It wasn't this fast and spontaneous. Okay? It's only with time that I got to this level. So that's my advice. If you're a beginner, you will definitely get to a higher level on one condition. The only condition is if you keep practicing. Okay? Give yourself time, by the way. Give yourself time. Tell yourself, okay, the next 2 years, I'm working on this because I know in the next 2 or 3 years, my level will grow. And one trick, what advice I give my students all the time is, take your time, do it, and if it doesn't turn out as you wish, do not squeeze that paper, alright? Keep it, write the date on, and each day you sketch, I advise you to write the date on it. And you will be amazed if you come back to the very first sketch you started with. A year later, if you come back to it, you'll be amazed of how much progress you've achieved along the way without even noticing. Yeah, because when you're growing, you don't notice unless you're trying to look back to reflect on where you started. Okay. I have students that I give assignments. Okay, I have students that they destroy their assignments because they're not confident and all. They say, oh, it was ugly. Did it turn out well? And I say, listen, don't be harsh on yourself, okay? This is part of the process. I wasn't expecting, when I gave you the assignment, I wasn't expecting a perfect job. I just wanted you to try. And each time you try, you're making progress. You might not just notice, but that's the truth. So never ruin your work. If you've started it, if you've given it efforts, even if it didn't turn out well, it's still a win. At least you tried, okay? At least you tried, so you should be proud of yourself and consider that. Because if you judge yourself harshly, it makes the journey even feel like a burden. Meanwhile, it's not. Every great artist you see out there started small, made mistakes, corrected their mistakes. They were just so bold enough to accept their mistakes and grow from them. So we are making progress so far back to the sketch. At this point, I am slowly refining more details. Okay. I'm about pulling up the gold effect on the teeth. So you will notice on some areas there is soft shadow and there is harsh. The hand pressure matters a lot. How much pressure you apply matters. You might take a little quantity of charcoal on your brush. You apply, okay? Depending on how much pressure you apply, it will give you a different result. For example, here I'm applying very light shade of charcoal, but if I press harder, it's going to be very dark. So I am mindful of how I handle it. Now with the knitted eraser, the good thing with this one is you can easily erase soft shades. Okay. At this point, I'm using this one to create more highlights. Still following my reference picture. My eye is always on there. So every highlight I'm creating at this point is based on what I see in my reference picture. So I could emphasize on some with this pen eraser. I have a variety of erasers that serve different purposes. They don't all have the same strength or the same erasing strength. They have different characteristics which I need, alright? As you can see, we can already start seeing the gold. I mean, is it gold or silver? Let's say silver because this one is in black and white, right? The silver effect is found. We can tell it's not the silver, the metal effect, okay? The metal effect is already felt just by adding shadow and subtracting to have highlights. The intensity of the highlight matters. If it's prominent, if it's intense, make it intense, okay? That's what gives the effect. You can already see the metal effect is very visible at this point compared to the teeth on the other side, to the metal teeth on the other side. It's recognizable. You can tell the difference between the teeth and the metal teeth and the grills. So we continue with this right here, creating highlights. I am mindful of how much pressure I apply. So I'm loving how the thing is turning out so far. So I invite you to give it a try, okay? Be confident about picking a subject, seeing it through, okay? When you start, you just have to finish. Remember, you don't have to finish the same day. Take your time, take a month, take a year, but just understand what you are doing. Just learn within the process, throughout the process. Just try to learn something new each time you pick up your pencil to do a sketch or a drawing. Try to learn something new. And so far, I'm loving my result. You can really notice. Now I'm adding the details. Details always come at the end. So when you're doing your sketch from the beginning, you don't need any detail in there because it won't be necessary. You might erase over it or you might apply charcoal over it. It's just not confirmed yet, but details always come at the end. This is what changes the game. Yeah, this is what takes your sketch or your work to another level. Look at the highlights. Pay attention to the highlights that I'm applying on the teeth. Without these highlights, we won't have the same feeling. Not at all. It won't have the same feeling. So this one is textured. You will have to learn how to shade, how to manipulate textures, how to create texture. All of this is within your reach. Okay, it's not something mysterious. That is what we have. At this point, you could call it done, or you could still give yourself the permission to go deep into more details. And the more details you add, the more realistic you have as a result. Now look at the lower teeth. Can you feel this the transparent effect of the teeth? I don't know how to call it. Is it the glossy effect of the teeth when you have saliva on the teeth? Right. Now, coming back here, I am erasing because after observation I have seen I need this part to be brighter. And you have some sparkling lights around. All these details are very important. This is what elevates your drawing or your sketch. If your painting is the same process, you will have to do the same thing if it's oil painting or acrylic painting, but especially with oil painting too. You can do the same thing, this specific reference picture. You can do it in black and white, you can do it in color, it will always be the same process. But now, with oil it's different because right here I was working from light to dark, okay? But when I'm working with oil, I play with both. Sometimes I work on some specific areas. I work from light to dark on some specific elements. But overall, I always prefer working from dark to light because this helps me do proper rendering, color balance, and light and shadow. Over the course of time, we shall have the opportunity to do more videos like this, where I will demonstrate in color as well, working on different subjects. So do not hesitate to subscribe, okay? Remember to subscribe, like, and share if you have any friend that loves to draw and loves to upgrade his skills. Yeah, I'm here to help you with these videos I'm working on. It's not an easy task. I don't really have time to do great videos, but with time, the filming, the editing, the recording, the audio, everything will feel great. So I'm just learning. I'm just beginning with these tutorials, alright? I wasn't used to speaking in front of the camera or speaking through a mic for long periods of time. But just as I grow in my craft by doing it over and over again, I will grow in these tutorial courses I'm trying to push out there to help upcoming artists or art students that are looking forward to upgrade their skills. So I hope you learned something through this process. I really hope, even though it's true I'm not showing the tools I'm using, because I don't really know how to go about this. By the time I will get an expert to film the whole process and edit the whole video, because that is a complete different job with a complete different approach. Okay, it's not my domain. I can't really make time to create all these tutorials and then edit it perfectly like a professional. But I really want to put this out there, even though it's not perfect. I want to put it out there to help you guys. If anyone can grab something from this, then my mission is complete, you know. So give me suggestions, okay? I would love to get your remarks in the comment section. Suggestions on how to upgrade or how to level up these tutorials so that it serves the best interest of the students. You know, I'm here for you guys. I'm here to assist you. So feel free to subscribe, like, share, and drop your opinions, your suggestions, and your feedback in the comment section. This will help me do a better job as time goes on. So here we are almost getting to an end. I am done with the last details, and that is what we got. Yeah, that's what we got. Tell me what you think. Your opinion matters. Okay, till then, catch you on the next one. Give it a try and send me a picture so I can see how much progress you've made. Okay, bye and stay blessed.